Right, welcome back everybody, and good to have you still with us here after 8 on Morning Live. So the beginning of Local Government Week begins today, and like many other events, it will be virtual. It runs from today until Friday, and the theme is ensuring capable and financially sound municipalities. To learn a little more about what is planned, we joined by the National Council of Provinces, or NCOP, Deputy Chairperson Sylvia Lucas. Deputy Chair, good to have you. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, and good morning to the viewers.
All right, good to have you with us. I hope that the sound is better for our viewers. I'm struggling a little bit to hear you. I'm hoping that we can push it up a bit, but let's get into our answer. I'm sure the guys will sort it out on our side. Let's pick up on the theme, which we know is very, very necessary, ensuring capable and financially sound municipalities. Necessary, but not necessarily the fact that this case in many municipalities. How is it going to be possible to transform, in many instances, local structures?
Like you have already said, is that local government is really experiencing a lot of issues, particularly with regard to sound financial practices and sound financial management. Even if you look at the Auditor General's reflection on municipal finances that he have actually put out on the 1st of July of this year, you could see that there is still local government, it is not necessarily, or local municipalities, it is not necessarily adhering to the issue of sound financial practices. And it is indeed a challenge for us as the NCOP, with the fact that we have an oversight responsibility, and that we are also the house, the second house or the upper house of parliament, where all three spheres of government are getting together. We are having Local Government Week as one of our flagship programs that we annually actually send, particularly permanent delegates and other delegates, to make sure that we discuss areas of challenges, and to make sure that we begin to advise and that we begin to see in our oversight responsibilities how we assist the local sphere of government to deal with the challenges that they are facing.
We also know that obviously municipalities have faced a very difficult time at this point with COVID-19. This has exacerbated the fact that municipalities have already been struggling. What is the picture looking like?
If we speak about audit outcomes, it is quite a mixed picture that you see. But also if you speak about the capacity or the capability to be able to deliver services, we will be receiving a report from the Minister of Cooperative Governance, and we will also be receiving a report or the presentation from the Minister of Finance, as well as the Auditor General, to be able to, throughout this week, get a clearer picture as to what is happening. If we look at a province like Northwest, for instance, almost half of that municipalities have been put on the Section 139 intervention, which means there is a drive to make sure that we begin to assist the local government sphere, because the most important responsibility of local government is to make sure that there is basic service delivery. And if a local municipality is not in a position to deliver basic services to the people, then we have to make sure that we assist them to have that capacity. And the issue is that, unfortunately, many people are getting laid off. They are getting more and more people are getting unemployed. And also the issue is local government is a one sphere of government that usually when we were still serving at that level, we say they are starting from a zero base of budgeting. And that is the issues that is actually hampering them, because local governments are being owed, and they are owing. They are being owed by the citizens, they are being owed by business, by the private sector, they are being owed even by government departments, provincial government departments that are operating within this sphere. But they are also owing, like ESCOM for electricity, they are owing the water boards and so on. So it is actually a compounding problem that they are experiencing. Now, in our oversight responsibility, we also need to make sure that we not just focus on the challenges that they are experiencing experiencing, but we also make sure that they've got the correct systems and the correct people, the human resources in place to make sure that they are able to respond to the issues, to respond to the current challenges that they are facing and that they are experiencing. And that is the reason why we are bringing together the three spheres of government to make sure that we together begin to discuss, but also bring in experts that can give us advice as to how we are going to deal with the issues that we are currently experiencing.
One feels that this has been spoken about ad nauseum, that this is all that really does happen, is that there are events, there's spoken, we bring the spheres together, the reports come out talking to how bad it is. I mean, recently we just saw the Auditor General's report coming out looking into the state of local municipalities. And I mean, just to quote, basically saying that the state of South Africa's municipalities and local government as a whole is unsustainable and it threatens the country's entire developmental agenda. That is a very big warning to South Africa that things could collapse if they do not change now. When you say you're offering assistance, when you say you're an oversight committee, what happens? I mean, what do you do?
So, for instance, we've got this select committee on local government. Wherever there is issues, we go in and we investigate, or we make sure that we determine the gravity or not of the situation. And what we then do is to make recommendations in terms of our oversight responsibility, but also to make sure that government, particularly the Department of COPTA, as well as the Treasury, assist the local sphere of government. The one benefit that we have as the NCOP is that we have got in our composition as the NCOP, we have got organized local government as part and parcel of the NCOP, or let me say the National Council of Provinces, which means we have got an opportunity to sometimes be able to immediately respond where there are problems. But I also think that the issue of interventions, if not properly planned, if not properly brought to a way of addressing the issues directly, we are going to have a challenge. And without trying to preempt what we are going to discuss, I must say, I hope that in terms of this new district development framework that is coming up, that there is other areas, because many of the municipalities are not necessarily exploring the economic potential that is existing within their municipalities. If you look, I can mention a municipality, for instance, if you look at a municipality like Rustenburg, I think it is one of the municipalities that potentially could be one of the most thriving municipalities if you look at the potential around it for not only mining, but also agriculture, but also the issue of tourism. That is actually giving them the potential that if they can develop the economy and they can begin to create jobs to make sure that there is a sustainable and viability within the municipality. That is the kind of areas that we need, that we want to advise on, and that we want to make sure that together with the government, we actually bring municipalities to a point where they can develop their own potential, but also where we see municipalities are not necessarily viable, to make sure that we bring a non-viable municipality together with a more viable municipality and build a municipality that will be able to respond to the needs of not only to the needs of the people, that also bring in the necessary capacity to make sure that we appoint the right people that have the capability to make sure, because in most instances, with regards to the Auditor General's report, it is the inability of municipalities to account for the finances, actually to just give the Auditor General a reliable set of books that will give us the confidence that the local government sphere is being managed in the correct way.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything you're saying should be something that they should be doing anyway. I mean, this has been years and years and years that we're speaking about this. And I mean, we can clearly say that whatever you're talking to, whether it is mining, agriculture, tourism, Many municipalities are not even doing this. They're only having officials that are there in it to fill their own pockets. We know this. We've seen it. The reports are there. And this is unfortunately the case. There are many municipalities that are under administration. I wish I could continue speaking to you, but the one recommendation, and perhaps maybe this will be discussed during the meeting this week that you're going to be having, which is going to also be addressed by Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. I know that she's scheduled to speak today. But let us just look at this recommendation. What the Auditor General has said is that in his inspection of municipal finance management, he says that legislative shift is needed so that it can rescue the dire situation. For instance, looking into just paying auditors, external auditors, hundreds of millions of rands to look into the finances, and nothing ever comes of that, is a problem. Now, is that a possibility that we can actually see some legislative shifts being made in the management of these municipalities?
I think the issue is about the consultants. I'm surely anyone to say
indeed.
The issue
Thank you. Yes, that's what I mean to say. Consultants.
That is one of the issues that we've been addressing. That there is millions of rands being paid to consultants, but there is no transfer of capacity from the side of the consultants. And year after year, you find that in many instances, when I was still in the province, we found that consultants sometimes copy and paste the books of different municipalities, and they come with a set guidelines or set recommendations that is not necessarily addressing the specific areas of challenges that the other municipalities are experiencing. And that is something that we can change, and that is something that we will be discussing, because we've been speaking about this for many years. But I'm actually very much happy with the fact that we can see that even government, they are moving in a direction where they say that we need to address this together, because many people are coming to the local sphere of government because they think there is a gravy train or something like that. But many people are outside that are well qualified, that can be recruited. And if we just actually make sure that people begin to take responsibility, that is the first part. If they can just begin to take responsibility, we will already see an improvement. But I agree that if need be, that we need to legislate to make sure that we do see the necessary changes and the necessary response to the areas of weaknesses. It will become very important. And I think some of the areas, particularly, I am expecting that some of the experts like Professor Susan Boyce and others will also be able to advise and to assist us to make sure that we can come up with a new set of resolutions that will possibly take us in a positive direction.
You know, we look at more and more. We've looked at the Auditor General's report, but I see that there's other reports that do come out looking, this one particularly, something called Ratings Africa, which I'm sure you're fully aware of, that actually rates municipalities and has a look at how they perform financially and otherwise, and they score them out of 100. And gradually, we have seen a decline in every single one of the municipalities. And I look at the latest scores coming out in 2019. I mean, we see that these scores are dropping slowly but surely. The Eastern Cape sitting at 29 out of 100, Free State 21 out of 100, the Gauteng 31, KwaZulu-Natal 41. And it just keeps on going. And what is even more disturbing is the national average is 37 out of 100. Now, one has to worry about figures like this that come out and show that the potential is not even close to being achieved. In fact, it is constantly dropping. We've moved from 42 in 2015 to 37, and we keep going down. So, you know, we talk about changes, we talk about things that need to happen, and we hope that this is something that we'll look at very, very seriously, Deputy Chairperson, because unfortunately South Africa is not sustainable if we look at these things.
It is definitely the case. And I was just thinking whilst you were speaking about the stats that you, or the data that you have in front of you, and I was just thinking that possibly we need to begin to have sustainability and consistency within the local sphere of government, because I think sometimes it is it is councillors are being changed on a 5-year or 3-year. People are being taken out, and there is not real consistency at the level of the local government. And I think that is some of the issues that we need to address. Because if you have at least a institutional memory, because sometimes you see that people are being suspended, and then you find acting MMs, acting CFOs for a long time, and so on. So that is the instability also that you're experiencing within the local government sphere that is actually contributing to what is happening. But I must say, as the ruling party, we had a very, very, very extensive discussion on issues of local government, and we are in agreement that there is here and there light in the tunnel. It's just that sometimes we are looking at the overall negative picture and not beginning to address where we see there is summers of hope, so that we begin to have a kind of a flagship or a kind of a area where you begin to build capacity, where you begin to respond to the issues, and not just have a blanket approach, but have not a one-size-fits-all approach, but they have an individual approach to make sure individual municipalities begin to respond to the issues. And gradually you come to a level where you can say this total district, with all the sharing of services and all the addressing things, consolidating their approach to issues in a single district. You've got the ability to assist these municipalities and begin to say that let's pilot this district with its municipalities and see how we can make sure that we begin to see success within the local sphere of government, because that is our problem. That there are many local authorities that get a unqualified audit opinion with matters. But if you don't address the matters, you will not get to a clean audit, because you need to address that matters. And unfortunately, that is where the weaknesses lie. Things are just regressing because of the fact that you don't address immediately. You find a municipality, for instance, with unqualified audit opinion with 3 or 4 matters. They don't address that 4 matters. The next financial year, it becomes 6 matters. The next financial year, it becomes 10 matters. And gradually, they get qualified audit opinions, of which immediately the Auditor General's outcome will be a regression in the outcomes of that municipality. And that is the thing we need to I think we are at a turning point, and we need to begin to address from that turning point the capacity of local government to deliver on their mandate.
Well, I certainly hope we're at a turning point. We have to leave it there. Thanks so much for an important discussion when we talk about what is happening at municipalities, and this is what's going to be discussed now. That was, of course, the NCOP Deputy Chairperson, Sylvia Lucas. Local Government Week is what we're in currently, and it begins virtually today, focusing on the theme ensuring capable and financially sound municipalities. All right, we are into the news headline bulletin, but let's get you the top stories this morning.